How are you?
Good, and you?
Yeah, really good. Really good.
How
It's been
how how's the new place? You just
uh,
moved recently.
my expansion mansion is
Yes.
incredible. I can't wait for you to see the healing room. It is amazing.
Awesome. So, thank you very much for joining today. I'm very excited to talk about this topic because obviously it's very juicy and we could probably talk about it for hours. But introduce yourself a little bit, my dear, please.
Okay, sure. So my name is Holly Loxton. I've been coaching and basically I call myself a trauma-informed coach. So I've done qualifications in trauma work, but I started out doing coaching and hypnotherapy about 5 years ago, I believe. The reason why I got into coaching and hypnotherapy is because I had to dig myself out of a really deep hole. And part of that is actually, this is why the money topic is so close to my heart, because a big part of that was to do with money. So it was 2016 where my family and I lost absolutely everything. So we had pubs and restaurants up in Karratha, the northwest of Western Australia. And basically banks took the lot. So they lost my house. I lost, we lost, with everything. So I had to come back to Perth and figure myself out. And I didn't have a job, really. I had to go back to working in hospitality. I was about 30 kilos overweight and I was just in a really, really bad space. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had about 20 grand in credit card debt. And so I had to set about A, digging myself out of a hole, but B, after I dug myself out, then I was like, well, what am I going to do with my life? And that's when I started on the whole, abundance journey, money mindset in general, but specifically, trying to launch a business from scratch, and then evolved gradually into trauma work, which is basically what I do now. So that's it in a nutshell.
I'm very grateful for that. The funny thing is, like, the way we connected was through a few clients of yours that are also part of my mastermind, and I was like looking for someone in that mindset space for a very long time, and then both of them separately, before we all became friends together, said like, well, you need to go to Holly. That's a no-brainer. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then we met at the WA Leaders as well at some stage. And then a few people again recommended me. I was like, okay, cool. I have to go to you. Obviously, it's happening. And the funny thing is, when we had 2 sessions, one day was just like an hour and a half, and the second one was like a whole day. After that, I had consecutively the best months since then in terms of like abundance and money. And obviously, you did something which was great. So tell me about where are money mindset blocks coming, and why is it so bloody hard for so many people to just have a good relationship about money?
Yeah. So I want to first start off by saying, unless you are out in the Amazon jungle in a tribe, which is obviously no one here because, they're looking at you on a phone or us on a phone, this universe is pay to play. Okay? And it means that every single person that is watching this right now, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, has a money story. Every single person that touches money has a money story. And the programming in this current reality that we're experiencing, I think it's actually really exciting now. We're having more young millionaires than ever. But prior to this, we had the industrial age, right? And so we were very much programmed via our schooling and our working and everything that work was really hard. You had to go to work, you punch in, punch out. Even the recess bells at school prime us and program us to go and work in a factory somewhere, right? And so we had this whole thing up until this, point in time. We've got this whole scenario of time for money. Everyone had a wage. You had to turn up to your job, You get paid a certain amount per hour, and then you go home, right? Now, with the invention of the internet, e-commerce, sales, that sort of stuff, that I always think that having your own business is your ticket to freedom, especially if you've got a product, which is good.
Not necessarily. Depends on the mindset. Definitely.
Depends on the mindset. It can be really, really, really horrific for some people. And money causes people so much trauma, which is, again, part of the reason why I love doing abundance work and money mindset work. And it's not even so much money mindset, it's money trauma, and money programming, the stories that you have, the unconscious commitments that you have around money. So if you grew up in a household that everyone was really poor, you're going to have that programmed into you. It's going to be a lot harder then for you to go out into the world and have this amazing business, because you're going to hit a glass ceiling, what we call a glass ceiling, of your programming of how much you believe that you're allowed to have based on what your parents' income bracket was, usually. Right? Some people go the other way and they'll be like, I don't want to be anything like my parents, so I'm going to, use that trauma of being poor, and I'm going to go the exact opposite extreme, and they'll do anything and everything that they can to make themselves successful. So it can work that way. I have had a few clients that have done that and have burnt themselves out. So they've realized they've built these huge businesses, and then they've realized that they did it from a place of trauma, not because they wanted to. And then they've ended up burning themselves out, and they've realized that money doesn't actually make them happy. And then they come and do their work. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can also say from personal experience that I was growing up in a household where we had a lot of money, and then we lost a lot of money. We had a lot of money and we lost it. So for me, it was just or is to some degree always a constant holding myself accountable of cool, what is actually reality and what is triggering me right now because past experience or trauma and things like that. So it's and it was for me so eye-opening as well, talking to you at some about some experiences of cool, why am I thinking about this way? And you as well, when you said, why just this amount? Why not this? So it's also just questioning things, because for us it's just so normal to be in that box that we've been spending our lives in. So how do you basically release those blocks? So how do you dig deep to actually figure out cool, this is fucked up, how do we solve this?
Yep. So first of all, we need to identify what your programming is around money. So like you said, you've got trauma around money. I grew up in a very similar household where we had lots of money at some stages, and then, just through sheer bad luck and things like that, had a lot, lost a lot, had a lot, lost a lot, till it culminated in 2016, like I said, where it just completely catastrophic. And so we need to identify what story that has given you. So for you in particular, and for me as well, it's money causes pain, right? So we've seen our parents go through and it was so heartbreaking for me. I didn't care so much that I lost everything in 2016, but watching everything that my parents had worked so hard for, and knowing, especially with my dad, because he sacrificed a lot of spending time with us as children because he was working so much on his businesses. And so for me, there was this massive grief piece that was, oh my God, my dad had sacrificed. I didn't get time with my dad throughout my childhood, and it's all for nothing now. And so I had to grieve that. That was really, really painful for me. And I'm sure it was painful for him as well. And so we've really got to then identify what is the main reasons why you're not allowing money into your life, because money really is just an energy, and everything in this universe is energy. So I'm just going to turn this down a bit. It's very, very bright. Everything in this universe is energy. Everything is just vibrating particles of different speeds, basically. Money is no different. And this is why some people can be really good with money if they feel like, if they had like a stable program for money, and they just, you know, they got taught good fiscal management, they got taught, oh yeah, this is what you do with it, blah, 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 and they've got good investments and all that sort of thing, they can hold on to it. And other people like can make a lot and also lose a lot. So that's my pattern is, or was, I can make heaps of money, but I can't hold on to it. But when I look back at through my programming from childhood, it is exactly what happened in my family. So we could make a lot of money, but we couldn't hold on to it. So it's then been my own trauma journey to go back through all of that and do the body work around it. So there's a few different ways, obviously, that I help people and that I have received help through my teacher. Body work is a really, really important component. You've got to feel safe around the belief system around money. So we have to actually go through the body. And the other one, as I said, identifying your money stories, first of all. Really, really important. You've got to sit there and nut out. And some of them are going to be unconscious.
Yeah, and it's not fun when you do it. It's like basically just digging through something which you, like almost if you have like a broken leg and you're just used to the pain, you just keep on walking and you just get so used to it that by the point you like realize, fuck, I have a broken bone and it really hurts. And then it's just like realizing the pain that you've been carrying for so long. And that's just, I think that was like one of the most uncomfortable things of actually realizing I'm fully responsible of my life that I've been living for such a long time. And I'm also fully responsible to change that life. So yeah, it's fun. But what do you mean about like releasing trauma in the body of like for people that haven't been with you yet?
For people that don't know what that is, so I do a form of trauma therapy that's similar to somatic experiencing, which is basically getting people to feel through and allow themselves to release the pain, the trauma. We do a lot of it with visualization work and working with the systems of the body, establishing new defense mechanisms, new boundaries. So we have what's called a fight, flight, or freeze response to a traumatic situation. If you can't fight the threat and you can't run away from the threat, your body goes into what's called a freeze. It's like the last line of defense. If you then don't go and either you don't have the support, the time, it's mostly around support really, but if you don't have the right support after a traumatic experience to then process what happened, it then registers as trauma, and it's almost like the energy gets trapped in your system. So I'm sure everyone's heard of like things like repressed anger and things like that, where we bury things very, very deeply. Your last session, we bury things very, very deeply. Yeah, but it's not going anywhere. It's just getting pushed down deeper and deeper and deeper. And what happens then is it goes into the shadows of the unconscious. And from there, it's actually unconsciously driving your life from the back seat. So this is where people get triggered by things because it's actually not triggering you in the moment. It's triggering an old trauma that you have not processed yet.
I feel like we're talking about my last session, but not really talking about my last session. It's fine.
Yeah. The anger work, I find anger work, I consider it to be absolute sacred work because it is so important to get that out of your system so that it's not running your life from the back seat, like I said.
And so what happens then when you release that, or when you like, pinpoint those traumas in your body? So how is it going to affect you like after that session, for example?
I have seen some miracles happen in really short spaces of time. But like you said, we did 2 sessions with you, and then one of those sessions we did work deeply on money stories and programming, but because your money story was so closely tied into your parents, we actually had to heal the stuff to do with your parents to release that. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
quite often we think that it's about money, but it's actually about a different trauma. So for me, my money stuff was coming up around not feeling safe with money, but really what it was seeing my parents have such a hard time and have fights about money and that sort of thing. So I had to heal that wound not necessarily the stuff around the money.
Absolutely, because again, very much can relate to like our similar background story. And then when we had that session, and I could pinpoint a lot of it was coming about like my dad and wanting to be seen by him, and that relationship with about money, which is like, I'm not scared about money of like having a bunch of money sitting next to me. I'm scared of like all the story that I'm having around it of like, again, losing the money and just the relationship and the trauma that it caused. And it was just up until that point when I could be with my dad a little bit more and just talk about that through, and also seeing him see me of like what has been created and what I've been actually building up, that I actually could see like, cool, actually I'm good with money, or like safer than previously, but I could see like that there's still so much to go, because it feels like we cracked that ceiling and now there's another ceiling that I need to crack, and it's like probably a different story or like something else, and I'm really curious how like we're gonna solve that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, we go on the trauma treasure hunt basically to figure out what trauma it is that is driving this particular story. So I just want to touch on as well, so you've got your individual money stories and money trauma. There's also the collective money story and money trauma. And one of the big programs that was running, especially in our generation and above, was that you've got to work really hard for money.
Oh yeah.
Right? That's a really big one. It's not so much in the younger generations now. You know, you've got these influencers, these TikTok stars, these people making metric fuck ton of cash, just for showing up and doing dances online. We didn't have that program instilled in us because we didn't really have, we only had Facebook from 2003 or something, 2002.
Yeah.
So in our formative years, between the ages of like 0 all the way up to about 8 or 9, when we're receiving our programming about society and what we're here to do and all of that, we didn't get the program that money was easy and you could just show up online. Whereas the kids nowadays have that programming instilled in them because that's what they've witnessed.
And like also Danny was leaving a few good comments of like that you have to like earn the money and that you basically have to like deserve all of it. And also a lot of the things is like, I'm not worthy to like go to Louis Vuitton and buy myself a $20,000 bag because that's not me. And you basically have to like make a whole shift of like, who is saying that I'm not deserving it, and who is actually putting a price point around the fact that this bag is making me feel worthy about anything. There's like so many things of like, I'm good enough for whatever the hell I want to have. And that's something that I and so many other people need to like constantly remind ourselves. It's like, we are all good enough for whatever we want to have in our life.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. And it's like so many times of like when we had our session of like, when you then pull me or like so many of your clients probably back of like, why not? Just questioning again, why the hell not? And it's so good.
Yeah. Danny Dang, he's one of my favorite humans. He's got some wise words going on in the comments. He said, we're realizing that we unconsciously tell ourselves a story about our own worth that often isn't true. It's definitely not true, because in essence, your worthiness is not actually up for debate. Certainly not in relation to money, right? You're worthy just by existing. You're here. The purpose of existence is to exist. Congratulations, gold star, participation medal. You're doing a really good job. Your worthiness, the way that you feel about yourself and your self-esteem, I believe, is more of a skill set and more to do with the amount of trauma that you've got, and being able to go in and clear that and reprogram your beliefs about yourself. And so one thing I want to touch on again, there's just so much around this because it's such a huge topic, because we could go into many different rabbit holes around worthiness and, your perceived value and all of that. But I wanted to touch on the fact that up until this point in time, a lot of the societal conditioning and programming is around money being the root of all evil, which is a really, really toxic program. And, money doesn't grow on trees. Everyone's heard that one.
Yeah.
And it's this real scarcity mentality. It's like breaking down the scarcity mentality with people is one of my favorite things to do, because in actuality, we live in an abundant universe. The scarcity is a myth. It is a lie. You're like an ATM. You are a money generating machine. If you place value on something that you can do, or something that you can give, or something that you can sell, you can then go and generate money. It is that easy. But because of our societal programming, we get told it's really hard. We get told there's not enough. We get told that we're not enough. And there's this whole shit show of programming that goes with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the scarcity of like, even when we say, okay, cool, we are paying that amount of price on like our services or goods, and we're like feeling scared of questioning for that money, because we're like, we're not allowed to do that, because we are, it's not supposed to be like that, because no one else is doing that. So we have to follow the rules, and we have to follow everyone else, because we have to be in line. Because again, we have been taught we have to live based on certain rules. That's how society works, and that's how we are meant to be. And that's what I can see as well of like a lot of clients when they're like, no, I can't do this because I don't have certain things in place. Of like, no, like there doesn't matter. Like Red Bull, for example, is a great example. It's a drink that a lot of people don't even like. It's just about the story and the branding that we've created around it, which is amazing, and it stands for so much more. And what they are putting the label on, it's amazing, and it's an amazing part of marketing. And then they're like one of the most expensive companies in the world now, because they have built this value around it and not just the can itself. So yeah crazy.
Yeah, and money really is just, it is an exchange of value. Money is never going away. And we actually don't know how much money there is in the world. Think about how many times you found, $50 in a coat pocket from years ago, and how many people have that happening. We have no idea how much money there is in the world. So there is no limit to the amount of money in the world. Just because you have more money doesn't mean someone else has less. It's not a fucking pie chart.
And don't have to feel guilty if you have money, which is also a massive part.
Massive programming, guilt around money. Everyone that has money is an asshole. And that I can see why that program has come about in society up until this point, because most people have been taught, whether it's by the church or by parents and friends and everything, that it's not spiritual to have a lot of money, especially around the church. And then I'm looking at the church going, that's the best business in the world. They don't pay tax. They earn billions of dollars, and they've set it up as a charity. Like, come on, guys.
Something is wrong here.
But, that is programming from religion as well. That if you've got heaps of cash, like, you're not allowed to. It's not spiritual.
When I did a poll yesterday of, cool, are you ready, or do you want to release some of your money mindset blocks this year? And like a few people said, no, I'm fine. I call bullshit. Everyone has blocks, and everyone, like, if you're happy with what you have, which is obviously amazing, but you still have some kind of blocks, because if you want to reach your goals and you don't reach them, then there's something to work on. So how would you suggest people to get started on that journey of releasing their blocks and releasing their trauma if they don't have necessarily access to you?
Okay. Funnily enough, actually, I don't know if I told you this. I do have a money program coming out on the 2nd of February.
Nice.
So just on that one, the Rich Witch program. But one thing I want to say before we get into how to actually go about releasing it, I want you to understand, like everyone watching this, I want you to understand money is just a tool, right? It's like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a house. You can also use it to cave someone's head in. It's not the hammer that is the problem. It is the person wielding it. So yes, there has been a lot of people that have, and money will only ever make you more of what you are. It's an amplifier.
Yeah.
So if you are an asshole and you step on a lot of people to get to the top of wherever, yes, you're going to be more of an asshole. But think about it. If you are a good spiritual person, you're a heart-centered person, and you have a lot of money, how much greater impact can you then have in the world? You know, money will give you an amplification so you can reach more people.
Absolutely. That part of like the amplification, I can also so relate to it, because if you feel a certain way without money, for example, you feel unsafe and you feel scared and you feel like all of that, having more money is not going to solve that. It's just going to make it worse. You kind of feel like even more scared of like losing it again. So that's something as well that I'm obviously working with you as well, of like the feeling safe with money, because as you as well, we've been feeling unsafe in our childhood with money and losing it all the time. So just having, when people say, cool, I just want to have $10 million, that's going to make my life so much amazing, so much better and so much richer. No, you're just going to carry that shit that you had or have more with you, and that's going to be 10 million times more. That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why most lotto winners end up worse off than before they won lotto.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
and now you can also like see it like with the growth in wealth as well. It's like that's totally true.
They haven't expanded their container to be able to hold that amount of money, to be able to hold that amount of energy. They don't know what to do with it because they haven't earned it. And when I say earn, I mean like go through the steps of the processes to become good with it, to be able to hold that amount of energy.
And feel worthy for it.
And feel worthy of it, yeah. And so if you think about the glass ceiling thing, so with you and with my other clients that I do abundance work with, you go through, you hit a glass ceiling, you clear that trauma. It's like, bonk, we've got something there. We need to go through that. And then you get to the next one, bonk, you've got to go through that. And so people that win lotto or have some sort of windfall don't get to go through and clear all those traumas. So then they've got all of this money story and programming and traumas, and now they've got a shit ton of money, and it's just going to unravel.
Yeah. And I can also like so much related to it again, because when we cleared the first thing, I could hit a certain like revenue with our team and we could grow, and which was amazing. But now again, it feels like we are hitting again the glass ceiling, and we're like doing all the right things, but it's not working, even though it's like there are so many opportunities and just like sitting around the corner where I'm like, I know if I'm doing certain things, I will be at that level again, but I feel like scared or whatever. And it's just like, it's not fair to like those clients that we know we can help to have that trauma with us.
No, definitely not. And, you know, this comes back down to you expanding your own container, and every new level has a new devil. So you've got to go and face off with that one, and then face off with the next one, and face off with the next one. But you want to do it in that progression, because if you try to skip to the end, you'll collapse it. You'll unconsciously sabotage it because you haven't cleared that stuff.
Or you feel so unsafe that like burn out and just go into the freeze mode that you mentioned before.
Yep. Which will then sabotage your entire business. You like, this is why, especially in marketing, which you will know because you're on the other side of it, but you would have had clients where you're like, wow, we're doing everything the right way, all the strategies there, it's just not working, and no one can figure out why. But it's not the strategy that is the issue. It is the person's unconscious stories and trauma, the person that owns the business. It has a massive effect, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like, yeah, you go.
No, I'm just saying, all the strategy in the world, you can have the best strategy in the world. It will not work if you've got unconscious money shit going on.
We had some clients in the past as well where we knew exactly the path that we need to go in order to grow and scale, and we could grow and scale. And then it felt like almost that the owners were sabotaging it, of like, why are we doing this? This is not like, we were going to like multiple seven figures of like revenue and things like that, and it was an amazing thing to like to see and to witness. And at the beginning it was all exciting and we were like all on a great journey, and then it's like, well, something is wrong here now, because we continued our journey in terms of our team doing the right things, but it was like something changed, or almost like they hit the glass ceiling, as we mentioned before, and they're like, no, I'm out, this is not okay. Something like that was just like, it's so funny to witness, but it's also so great to see like when people or clients going through that glass ceiling again, that they're like, cool, I'm ready for the next level.
Yeah, it's beautiful when you can see them process things and move through it and get the results on the other side. So, yeah.
But worth it, absolutely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So how to clear them? Well, obviously doing the body work. Now, that is one thing that you generally can't do on your own, because you need a skilled practitioner to help guide you through it, because 95% of what we are is unconscious anyway. This is part of the reason why we can't heal in isolation either. You know, there's lots of things. You can listen to all the podcasts and you can have perception shifts and you can do the mindset work and you will get a certain portion of the way through, but there will always be something that's unconscious to you that you need help with. You can't see your own blind spots. That's why they're called blind spots.
And you're good in calling out the bullshit. Very good. Too good a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. However, the things that you can do on your own is, first of all, identifying any money stories that you feel like you do have, and then working on reprogramming yourself, like really questioning, is this really true? So if you're, so I'm just reading Danny's notes here. Yes, if you're not a vibrational match, absolutely. If you're working on your money program, if you've identified a story and you've gone, I don't feel safe with money, then you've actually got to look at that story. How do you want to feel instead? I want to feel really safe with money. Great. What aligned action can you then take that's going to make you feel safer with money? Do you need to start up a small investment account? Do you need to go and get some more education around finances and money and that sort of stuff? Do you need to enlist the help of a good bookkeeper or a financial planner or something like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I had something similar, I think 1 or 2 years ago, where I'm like, I was looking to the person that I wanted to be in terms of like money, and what is that person doing? Or how does a person react? Or like in which situation is that person? It's like that person knows what to do with money. And back like a few years ago, I was like, I had that relationship with money, which was probably not the best. And I'm like, cool. Awesome. I'm going to start just educating myself, like how to invest. Good. I'm going to like read some books. I'm going to like set up some good accounts. I'm going to put some things in spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. So I'm like, those things made me feel, I love them. Those make me feel like safe. And like even having that vessel of like, cool, universe or whatever, I'm ready to receive abundance because I feel now safe to be able to hold it. That made a big difference for me a few years ago.
Yeah. One of the things I love to do is actually to track money. Okay. So that's the only... attracting it is quite easy for me these days, but to track it, the only spreadsheet that I like is the spreadsheet that shows me how much money is coming in. I don't even, like, I've got all my bills and stuff on autopilot. I don't generally need to worry about anything like that because that was what made me feel safer with money, is to put all my bills on auto and just know in the depths of my soul that it would always be paid for. And that was something that I programmed into myself. A new belief system for me was that when I'm in alignment and flow, even when I'm not, I'm always taken care of by money. And because I've done all my, I work a little bit with feng shui practices, making sure that my money, my house is set up properly, my healing room set up properly to attract the right money in. I do a little bit of other energetic work around money. Visualization practices, really, really, really good. So we've got to re-imprint a new money story into your brain. So visualizing yourself with money.
Yeah.
Actually sitting there and going into, it's not necessarily fantasy land, because I like to believe that manifestation, you're tuning into a reality that already exists. So you're going, okay, how does that feel? How does it actually feel to not even look at the right side of the menu when I'm going to a restaurant? To not even look at the price tag when you're going into a clothing store? How does it feel to just be able to go in and just go, yeah, I like that. I just want to pick that. And so getting
or even going
feeling.
into the stores and like just trying it on, where like many times we feel like even scared or ashamed. I don't want to go to Chanel because I can't afford it, which you can, but like, and then just putting on the clothes and be one of those people that go in there and just go shopping there because you can. It's just like a matter of time when you do it. So just making yourself more comfortable in that situation is also a big one.
Yeah, you play pretend for a little bit, basically.
Fake it until you make it.
Fake it until you make it with the money story, definitely. And just getting into the feeling of, like, when I first was reprogramming my money story, because there was just so much trauma around it and so much to do with the enmeshment with my dad and everything, I had to, I couldn't get to the feeling of being abundant with it, because I was looking at my bank account. I'm like, that's fucking $8. That's not, my body was rejecting millions of dollars because I only had $8 in my bank account. And it was constantly triggering me. So this is the same with any affirmations that you do, any at all. You have to choose something that you can actually get your body to believe. So if if you've got a guy that's 300 kilos and he wants to be 80 kilos and he's like, yeah, I'm six-pack abs, I'm shredded, I'm lean, I'm like super strong, I've got massive muscles, and he's then looks in the mirror and doesn't see anything to do with that, then it's actually going to reaffirm his current situation, right? So me trying to go to millions of dollars in my head and looking at my bank account was only affirming the fact that I was fucking broke.
Yeah.
Right? So what I had to do was I had to choose a belief or choose a feeling that was closer to my situation. So the guy, in the guy that wants to lose weight, he'd be like, okay, well, I am choosing to feel like I can make healthier choices with food today. So it's a stepping stone. And so he gets that ingrained in him for a week or two. I make healthier food choices. I make healthier food choices. And then he can go to the next one and then the next one. So for me, it was like, I just want to feel a bit of relief around money. I had to go to relief before I went to abundance.
Yeah, I love that. A little bit of a hack from my end, which makes me happy all the time. I have a wallet. I don't really carry it anywhere, but I have it. And I always have like a few $100s in my wallet just to make myself feel like, cool, I'm abundant and I can afford whatever I want to have in euros and in dollar. And that's just something for me, even though I never touch it, it's always there. It's a few $100s that it's just sitting there. And when I look into my wallet and just pulling out my cards or whatever, I feel like I have money because it's there and it's just accessible to me. And also one of the cards that you gave to me once, I think one last time or the time
it
before.
Works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's there and it's just attracting what I want to attract, and it's really nice to have as well.
Yeah. And so that's another really good hack as well. So I say to people, I want you to keep an uncomfortable amount of money in your wallet. So for me, I usually carry around about $1,000, maybe $1,500 in my wallet.
I hope no one that is going to rob you is listening to this.
I don't even take my wallet anywhere anymore because everything's on my phone. But it's, you know, if I was to get robbed, I wouldn't miss it. Right? It's still, I'd still be like, oh, well, that really sucks. But it's an uncomfortable amount of money to carry around. Obviously, I'm not going to sit there and carry around 10 grand in my wallet. That's ridiculous because you don't want to lose that sort of money. But it was one of the things. But before I got to that amount, I had to carry around $50 and not touch it. And that was a stretch for me years ago. I was like, oh my God, I've got $8 in my account. I've got a $50 note sitting here, and I'd get really panicky around it. I'd be like, oh, but yeah, don't touch it. Just have it in there, safekeeping. The other hack I would say from a feng shui point of view is find the money corner of your house. So it's usually either the back left-hand corner or the southeast corner of your house, and stash some cash there.
Okay, I've never heard about that. That's interesting.
Stash some cash there, or get a little feng shui money frog. I've got feng shui money frog. I've got feng shui. I've got 3 money frogs in my house, one in my healing room, one in my other house, and then I've got my big boy right next to my front door. And ever since I moved into the expansion mansion, I've been just inundated, flooded with clients because I opened up an extra day for people to book in, and it's like already booked out. I'm like, oh fuck, how do I turn down the money from?
Just take him inside for a bit.
Thank you, but can you calm down a little bit now?
Yeah, definitely to like book a session very soon with you as well.
Yeah.
So like, how can people go to like with you, like experience some trauma release with you, or do you have like any online courses or any like, what is the best way?
Yeah, it was so interesting that you asked me to do this money live, because I was like, that's very synchronistic, as I've got a program that I'm bringing out because I love helping people with money and abundance. It's one of my favorite things to teach on. And so that's going to be an online program. There's only going to be one live round, and it's going to kick off on the 2nd of February. So there is a link in my bio, the Manifestress Academy. If you jump on there and you put your email on the wait list, you will be the first to know about it.
Awesome. That's going to be good.
I know. I'm so excited.
It's about time to spread your wings and like help more and more people.
Yeah. And I'll never give up doing one-to-one work because I absolutely love it. And it's really where my heart is. But I do need to start hitting more people because, it's an 8, Danny. So I associate the number 8 with abundance and power. And when I was thinking about the start date for the Rich Witch program, I was like, I'm going to open it on the 2nd of the 2nd, 2022.
Nice.
So, yeah. But I had 22. So 22, 22, 22. Not the extra 2.
Awesome. There's like, we could probably like talk for hours, and I'm looking forward
so much.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to like share before we like wrap this up?
No, I just want people to understand, if this is a triggering conversation for you, if you're watching this and you're really triggered by it, then you definitely need to do some money work.
Or if you don't want to look at your bank account, also very big indicator that you should probably talk about your money issues.
Yep. If you're sitting there going, oh my God, these women are so materialistic and blah, 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 and we're triggering you, then you definitely need to do some money work.
Yeah. Or if you don't want to pay for someone's drink when you go out because you feel like, I can't afford it or I shouldn't afford it, also something to look into.
Yeah. If you're ever saying anything into yourself like, I can't afford it, or, even if it's something that I don't want to put in my budget, I know that I will find the money for whatever I want to find. But if it's not a wise choice for me right now, I don't say I can't afford it. I say I'm diverting my energy and my resources to something else right now. This is not a priority for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I totally get that. And it's also like something that my coach, Kim Barrett, said at some stage of like, if you want to do it, because money should never be a restriction for you not doing something, because there is plenty of money around there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got to reach out and take it. But
Absolutely.
again, it comes back down to the worthiness thing. So many people don't believe that they're worthy, deserving, or capable to exchange value like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we go really deep into the belief systems around everything in this program. So
probably,
or if you want to look into my work, just hit the link in my bio. There's a link in my bio for booking in sessions as well.
Awesome. And for everyone who's listening, it's absolutely worth it, and you will not regret it. And if you regret, then it's something that you're probably resisting, and you should do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Danny, as well, for your amazing comments, and thank you for being amazing, Holly. And I'm looking forward to our next session very, very soon.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.